All right, imagine this. You're a regular peasant in medieval Europe, just minding your own business and collecting hard-earned crops and enjoying a rare moment of peace. But then, suddenly, the ground starts to tremble, and you look up, and there it is. A massive shadow moving across the sky. Your heart skips a beat as you realize it's not a cloud, but an enormous rock hurtling straight toward your farm. Before you can even shout, it crashes down, flattening everything in its path. Welcome to the brutal reality of overpowered weapons. Throughout history, there have been tools of war that weren't just about winning, they were about sending a message. Now, these weapons didn't just defeat the enemy, they utterly annihilated them, leaving nothing but destruction behind. Today, we're going to talk about the most overpowered weapons to ever grace or disgrace the battlefield. So, let's see how far people went to snag a win. All right, first, let's kick things off with something hot. Quite literally. Say hello to Greek fire. Basically, the ancient world's version of a flamethrower on meth. Picture yourself as a poor sod in the Byzantine Navy, cruising the Mediterranean, maybe thinking, another day, another naval skirmish, look, no biggie. But then you see the enemy launching something at you. Arrows, you think? Nah, you wish it was just arrows. Suddenly, the sky darkens with this thick, oily liquid, and then whoosh, it ignites into a fireball and makes the flames of Mordor look like a backyard barbecue. And here's the twist. The fire is burning on water. Yeah, that's right, water. Your one saving grace? Look, it only makes it worse. Congratulations, you're now living in a wet hell. Greek fire wasn't just a weapon, it was ancient psychological warfare at its finest. The Byzantines guarded the recipe like it was the Colonel's secret chicken blend. No one knew what was in the stuff, but everyone was scared shitless of it. Legend has it that it was so potent that it could stick to anything it touched and just burn through it. Kind of like an ex who just won't let go. Water? Pff, forget it. Dousing the flames was like trying to put out a grease fire with gasoline. Entire fleets would go up in flames with sailors leaping into the sea, only to discover that the waves were also on fire. Greek fire wasn't just about winning naval battles, it was about convincing your enemies that the Mediterranean was a fiery hellhole where the only thing waiting for them was a crispy and charred death. Now let's move from fire to something a little more stabby. Enter the longbow, the medieval equivalent to the sniper rifle, except this one didn't need fancy optics from Call of Duty. So you're a knight in shining armor, feeling all brave and glorious as you march into battle. Look, your armor is thick, your sword is sharp, and you're pretty sure that no one's going to touch you. You're almost invincible, right? But suddenly you hear this whistling sound, and before you know it, arrows are raining down on you like it's a medieval Hunger Games. You don't see the enemy, they're miles away, laughing their asses off as they turn you and your fellow knights into human pincushions. The longbow was a medieval sniper's best friend. This bad boy could send arrows flying up to 250 yards, or 230 meters. And if you're thinking, arrows, how bad could it be? Well, these weren't your toy arrows. These things were armor-piercing missiles. They punched through steel without any hesitation. During the Battle of Agincourt, the English longbowmen, about 5,000 of them, went up against the French army that was 5 times their size. And spoiler, the French didn't stand a damn chance. By the time they reached the English lines, the battlefield looked like a really morbid game of darts. Imagine charging toward your enemy only to get hit with an arrow that rips through your chainmail like it's made of tissue paper. And let's be real, the longbow was a bit of an equalizer. You didn't need to be some fancy knight on a horse. All you needed was a steady hand, a strong draw, and good aim. And really, that's it. Suddenly, your average Joe could take down a noble knight. And that made medieval warfare way more interesting. Okay, let's crank it up another notch and let's talk about war elephants, aka the tanks of the ancient world. Forget cavalry, these things were walking nightmares. You're a foot soldier in ancient India or Carthage, probably sweating your ass off in that heavy armor and you're clutching your spear and trying to remember, hey, is this battle actually worth it? And then you hear it. The earth starts to shake and you see it. A massive elephant, kitted out with armor, with spikes on its tusks, charging straight at your line. Oh man, you're gonna get pancaked by a multi-ton killing machine that looks like it wandered off the set of Lord of the Rings. War elephants were literal wrecking balls. They could trample soldiers like grapes at a vineyard. They could smash through wooden fortifications like they were made of Lego, and terrifying the living daylights out of horses. It was psychological warfare on a whole nother level. If you were lucky, you had a guy like Legolas on your side to shoot one of these tanks, but otherwise your only hope was to dodge, duck, and try not to get turned into a real flat spot. But here's the thing, war elephants weren't invincible. If they got injured or freaked out, they could turn on their own troops. These giant beasts could decide that they'd had enough of the battle and start mowing down everything in their path, friend or foe. Still, when properly controlled, they were a force of nature. Hannibal famously marched these beasts over the Alps to scare the ever-living hell out of the Romans. Imagine going toe-to-toe with a massive elephant charging at you, and you've got nothing but a spear and a prayer. Let's jump to the late 19th century and meet the Maxim machine gun. The weapon that made run for your life sound like solid military advice. Being a 19th century soldier, you'd be used to muskets and cannons, but suddenly you hear a weird sound. Before you can even blink, your comrades are dropping faster than a knife fight in a phone booth. The Maxim was the first fully automatic weapon, spewing out 600 rounds per minute. That's 600 bullets coming at you like it's on a mission to ruin your day and your whole army's day, really. Created by Hiram Maxim, this beast didn't just change warfare, it redefined it. Armies that once relied on numbers found themselves shredded by this new tech. The British loved it, of course, and used it to wipe out enemies in colonial conquests. Fun fact, one officer reportedly said, "Whatever happens, we've got the Maxim gun," and they have not. By World War I, the Maxim was a battlefield regular, turning human waves into, well, let's just say a local butcher shop. Maxim's machine gun was a loud, rapid-fire announcement that warfare had entered the modern era. The last for today comes from the Middle Ages. Meet the trebuchet, the medieval delivery service that didn't care about your fancy castle walls. Imagine a defender standing on your fortress wall, sipping some sort of questionable ale and feeling all smug. Everything goes well until suddenly he hears a deep creak, and the next thing he sees is a 200-pound or 90-kilogram rock flying straight toward the wall. The trebuchet is not your average catapult. Oh no, this bad boy was the heavy artillery of siege warfare. Using a genius counterweight system, it could hurl massive projectiles hundreds of yards with terrifying accuracy. Castles? Yeah, they were like cardboard houses when this thing was in play. But rocks weren't the only thing it launched. Flaming pots of oil? Check. Diseased carcasses? Double check. It's medieval warfare, after all. This beast of a machine was all about destruction, as well, of course, as psychological warfare. Watching your defenses crumble while a giant rock smashes through your keep can make even the bravest knights rethink their life choices. And let's be honest, no one's morale is sky high when the enemy is lobbing plague-ridden bodies all over your walls. The trebuchet was the ultimate hold-my-beer weapon of the Middle Ages, turning sieges into one-sided demolition derbies. When you saw one of these things rolling up, you knew the party was over and the cleanup was going to be brutal. And there you have it, 5 legendary weapons that were all game changers. These overpowered marvels didn't just defeat their enemies, they obliterated them, rewriting the rules of warfare and leaving a trail of destruction that still echoes through history. So what do you think? Which weapon would you least want to face on the battlefield? Well, let me know in the comments, and we'll see you next time.